Hello everyone, this is part 2 of topic 4. We are continuing with integumentary system. We have already covered the epidermis, dermis and the hypodermis. Now we are going to learn about the accessory structures or the derivatives. The accessory structures include hair follicles, glands and nails. The glands include sebaceous glands and sweat glands. Both hair and nails are also made up of dead keratinocytes, just like your skin is. But the keratin that's present in hair and nails is a different version. It's a different type. It is much harder than the keratin that's present in the skin. This figure shows the location of the sweat gland and the hair follicle. Hair follicles and hair. Hair is found everywhere on the human body with some exceptions, such as the palms of your hands, the soles of your feet, on the sides of the fingers and toes, on the lips, and also in portions of the external genitalia in both males and females. The hair consists of two main parts. The first part that is embedded deep in the dermis is known as the hair root, and the second part is called hair shaft, which is projecting out from the skin surface, as well as the part that may be embedded in the skin, but it is above the hair root. In the base of the hair root, there is a small indentation caused by a dermal projection, and this dermal projection is known as the hair papilla. The hair papilla and the root together form the hair bulb. The hair is also enclosed by a connective tissue sheath, which is known as the hair follicle. But the hair follicle, the inner lining of the hair follicle also has an epithelial tissue component. This epithelium is continuous with the epidermis, while the outer lining is dermal connective tissue. If you look at the transverse section of a hair follicle or a hair, then you can see multiple layers. From deep to superficial, these layers are right in the center or in the core of the hair is the medulla, which is made up of soft version of keratin. Surrounding the medulla is a hard keratin layer called the cortex. Outside to the cortex is the cuticle, which is also made up of hard keratin. Now the cuticle would be surrounded by an internal root sheath which covers only the hair root and the deeper parts of the hair shaft, while it could be covered by the external root sheath that extends from the skin surface to the hair matrix. Surrounding the root sheath would be the glassy membrane, which is a very thick clear layer, and the outermost layer or the superficial layer is a connective tissue sheath. This figure shows all of the layers that we've just discussed in the previous slide. This figure shows a longitudinal section of the hair follicles, and this is how the hair follicles are going to appear in the histological slides that you are going to view under the microscope. The main functions of hair are protection and insulation. Even the short hair which is present in the nasal cavity, they guard the entrance to nose and prevents the entry of large debris or bugs. Also, there is a root hair plexus. Plexus means a network. So there is a network of nerves associated with the hair follicles. So when a bug is crawling on your arm, your hair moves. When the hair moves, the root hair plexus immediately detects this and it sends a message to the brain, and then the brain sends a command to the eyes and your eyes look in that direction. There is also a muscle known as the erector pili muscle, which is a smooth muscle that is attached to the dermal connective tissue sheath. So whenever this muscle contracts, it pulls the hair upright. This is what gives you goosebumps. This figure points out the erector pili muscle and the root hair plexus. Human body has three types of hair. Vellus hair, which covers most of the body, intermediate hair that covers your arms and your legs, while terminal hair, which is really thick, it covers the head. It also makes the eyebrows and the eyelashes. The color of the hair is attributed to pigments. The main pigment is melanin, which is produced by melanocytes. The more the melanin, the darker the hair color. As a person ages, the production of melanin goes down and this results in gray hair. Now, what influences this production of melanin? This is influenced by genetics. It is also regulated by hormones, for example, stress hormones, and your lifestyle, environmental factors. This slide introduces you to the life cycle of a hair. This life cycle results in the growth and replacement of hair. There are two main phases. The first one is the active stage, where the hair is growing actively about 0.3 millimeters per day, followed by the resting stage, where the hair loses its attachment and becomes a club hair. Let's look at the hair growth cycle in a little bit more details. We'll start with the anagen that's written on the left side. The anagen is a growing phase. It occurs for about 2 to 5 years, in which the hair is growing actively. Anagen is followed by the next stage, which is catagen. In catagen, the follicle is undergoing regression and it would soon transit to a resting phase. This takes place for about 10 days. The third stage is the telogen, or the resting phase, which occurs for 3 months, and during this phase the hair would lose its attachment to the follicle and it would eventually become a club hair. The last stage is known as the exogen, which is the shedding phase, in which there is a reactivation of the follicle, so the club hair is shed, it is lost. We are done with hair, and now we are going to learn about the glands in the skin. There are two types of glands: sebaceous glands or oil glands, and the second one is sweat glands or sudoriferous glands. The function of these glands is to produce secretions, and these secretions lubricate the epidermis. Additionally, the glands also excrete waste, and so they are assisting in thermoregulation. Now there are four types of sweat glands that we are going to learn: merocrine sweat glands, apocrine sweat glands, mammary glands, which are a modified apocrine gland, and then ceruminous glands, which are also modified apocrine glands. The sebaceous glands are also known as oil glands. They secrete sebum or oil that keeps the skin moist. The mode of secretion is holocrine. Sebaceous glands are found everywhere in the body except for the palms and the soles, and if the ducts of these glands they become blocked, then acne or pimples may occur. The sebaceous glands may secrete the oil either into the hair follicles or directly onto the skin surface. So their main function is to coat the hair shaft and the epidermis. The second type of glands are the sweat glands, which are also known as sudoriferous glands. Now sweat glands are of multiple types. The first one is called merocrine or acrine sweat glands. These are the typical sweat glands which are found all over the body, especially they are highly concentrated on the palms and soles, and the sweat that comes out from these glands is mainly for cooling down the body. The next type of sweat glands are apocrine sweat glands. These are different from the merocrine sweat glands because they are not found all over the body. They are present only in special locations such as the armpits or around the nipple, and they have an odor associated with them. So they have a particular smell, and this is the smell that is detected by the babies, and they kind of feel safe with mom. This particular sweat has chemicals which are known as pheromones. Pheromones are used for communication purpose. The mechanism of secretion of this sweat is merocrine. Although the name is apocrine, but now it is known that the secretion is merocrine. Originally, it was thought to have an apocrine secretion, but the name has just stuck. So remember, although it is an apocrine sweat gland, the mechanism of secretion is merocrine. This slide describes the differences between merocrine and apocrine sweat glands. Both mammary glands and ceruminous glands are actually modified sweat glands. Mammary glands produce milk for lactation purposes, and this is influenced by hormones, while ceruminous glands produce earwax, which is known as cerumen, and the function is to provide protection. If you look at the bottom of this figure, you can see that the apocrine sweat glands, there are two types, ceruminous and mammary glands, which are modification of the apocrine glands, or they are special apocrine glands. We have completed hair and glands in the skin. The third accessory structure is a nail. The nail has a flat plate-like structure which is hard, that is known as the nail plate. And the nail plate is surrounded by skin folds on three sides while it is free on its distal margin. This is known as the free edge, and that is the direction of nail growth. Underneath the hard nail plate is a soft skin layer which is called the nail bed. Now the skin folds on the two sides of the nails are known as the lateral nail folds, while the skin at the base is called the proximal nail fold. Now the stratum corneum of the proximal nail fold, it grows over the nail plate and it forms a thin structure that is known as the cuticle or the eponychium. If you could see deep to the proximal skin fold of the nail, you would be able to see the living part of the cell which consists of dividing cells. This is known as the nail matrix, and the nail matrix consists of blood vessels and nerves. Near the eponychium, you could see a thick half-moon shaped structure which is the visible portion of matrix. This is known as the lunula, and the lunula is most clearly visible on the thumbnail. There is also some thick epidermis beneath the free edge of the nail that is known as the hyponychium. Main function of nails is of course to provide protection to your fingertips. This helps in grabbing things. This figure shows a longitudinal section of the nail.